I thought somebody was going to find me. Not save me. Find me. I used to hear stories. The singer discovered in a mall, the actor discovered on the street, the athlete noticed by the right coach, the artist finally seen by the right person. And a part of me believed that would happen to me too. Because there was always something inside me that felt different, something creative, something expressive, something I couldn't explain. So I waited, not forcing it, not begging for attention, not trying to convince anyone, waiting for somebody older, somebody wiser, somebody who could see what I couldn't see in myself. And I got older, and older, and older, until eventually I realized nobody was coming. That was the moment everything changed. Because instead of waiting to be discovered, I started discovering myself. Instead of waiting for permission, I started creating. Instead of waiting for someone to tell me who I was, I started figuring it out on my own. The person I spent years waiting for became me. Welcome to SHEMO King, the Game of Life, Season 1, Episode 3. The Creator. Growing up, everybody seemed to have an answer for what my life should be. The military, a doctor, a stable job, a predictable future. Everybody had a plan, but very few people ever asked me a different question. Who are you? Looking back, I think that question would have changed everything. For a long time, I thought something was wrong with me. The things that seemed important to everyone else never felt important to me. People would spend weeks talking about something, counting down to it, getting excited about it, building it up like it was going to change everything. Then it would happen, and I'd sit there thinking, that's it? I wasn't feeling what everyone else seemed to be feeling, and that scared me. Because when everyone around you reacts one way, and you react another, you start wondering if something is wrong with you. There was a feeling I couldn't explain. A feeling that something was missing. A feeling that I was supposed to be doing something else. A feeling that I was forgetting something important. And the harder I tried to ignore it, the louder it became. Not through words, through restlessness, through discomfort. I'd be around people and still feel somewhere else. I'd do what I was supposed to do and still feel unfinished. Like I was living around my life instead of inside it. Like I was showing up without ever fully arriving. And for a while, I thought I had found it. Not through a dream, not through a plan, through a person. It started simply, a friend from work, a coincidence about the neighborhood, no car at the time. Just someone who said, "Do you want to come over?" And something about that felt different. Because I had spent most of my life being the one who reached out, the one who checked on people, the one who showed up. And most of the time, it didn't come back. But this felt different. I got to know their family. I got to exist in their space. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel judged. I wasn't performing. I wasn't trying to be interesting. I wasn't managing how I came across. I was just there. And that feeling was peace. But slowly, something shifted inside me. A quiet panic began to grow. What if they got bored of me? And the more I panicked, the smaller I became. until the friendship that once felt like peace started feeling like pressure, until I realized I had been so relieved to feel accepted that I forgot to keep becoming myself. I wasn't just in their home, I was disappearing into their shadow. And maybe that's why the next realization hurt so much. Because somewhere deep down, I already knew what it felt like to be myself. And maybe the truth is, I found creativity long before I had a name for it. I was around 10 years old. School would end. I'd walk to my bike, beat the crossing guards to the corner, race home. Not because I hated school, not because I was running away from something, because I was running towards something. I'd drop my backpack, put on whatever music was waiting for me, and suddenly, the world would disappear. For the next hour, sometimes two, I was completely myself. I'd sing, dance, move around the living room, disappear into imagination. Nobody was judging me. Nobody was watching me. Nobody was telling me who I should be. I wasn't trying to fit in. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I wasn't trying to become something. I was simply being. And maybe that's why those moments stayed with me, because they weren't just moments of imagination. They were some of the first moments where I met myself. There was a little boy running home to meet himself. Years later, someone asked me a question. A simple question, but it stayed with me. It wasn't a stranger. It was someone who knew a version of me from years earlier. Someone who had heard the dreams. Someone who had seen the ideas. Someone who remembered things I thought no one else noticed. And one day they asked me something. Are you trying to become this artist, this singer, this creator, this performer? And the question caught me off guard. Not because I didn't know the answer, because I wasn't sure if I was allowed to answer honestly. For years I had carried those dreams privately, protected them, questioned them, doubted them. And suddenly, someone else could see them too. Was this just a dream, a fantasy, something I imagined because reality wasn't enough? Or was it me? Eventually, I stopped asking, what should I do with my life? And started asking, who am I? And the answer that came back was simple. The person you pretend to be when nobody is looking. The version of yourself you return to again and again. The version that appears before fear arrives. The version that exists before the world has a vote. And the strange thing was, that version of me kept returning. Every time I was alone, every time I started creating, every time I stopped worrying about who I was supposed to be. It was there when I sang in the shower, when I sang under the stars, when I drove with nobody else in the car, when I created for no audience at all. And over the years, creating started teaching me things nobody else could. Patience, commitment, trust. Nobody forced me to come back. Nobody forced me to practice. Nobody forced me to keep going. I returned because something inside me kept calling me back. Back to the music, back to the ideas, back to the version of myself that felt most alive. And somewhere along the way, I stopped feeling like I was following instructions. I was writing my own. That answer changed everything. Because I realized something. The version of myself that appeared while creating wasn't imaginary. It wasn't a character. It wasn't wishful thinking. It wasn't a fantasy. It was me. And suddenly, so many things started making sense. Why certain environments drained me. why certain conversations felt empty, why I struggled to care about things everyone else seemed excited about. I wasn't broken. I wasn't difficult. I wasn't wrong. I was trying to live a life that didn't belong to me. I was trying to fit into stories that were written for someone else. And the more I moved away from myself, the worse it felt. The more I moved toward myself, the more alive I became. For years, I thought the discomfort meant something was wrong. Now I think it was trying to tell me something. Not who to become, who I already was. Looking back, I don't think creativity entered my life by accident. I think it arrived when I needed it most. When I was searching, when I was hurting, when I was trying to understand why I felt so different. It was there when I felt lost. It was there when I felt disconnected. It was there when I couldn't explain what was happening inside me. Not with answers, with expression. When I couldn't find the words, I could sing. When I couldn't explain the feeling, I could create. When I couldn't understand myself, I could return to the things that made me feel alive. And little by little, something started connecting. The person I thought I was, the person I was trying to become, the person I had been all along. Creativity became the bridge between who I thought I was and who I actually was. Because the truth is, before there was a creator, there was a child. A child with dreams, a child with questions, a child who felt different, a child who kept searching for permission to be himself. Before the songs, before the stories, before the ideas, before the searching, there was simply a kid trying to understand why he felt the way he felt, trying to understand why certain things mattered so much to him, trying to understand why he couldn't let certain dreams go, trying to understand why something inside him kept pulling him in the same direction. And every song, every story, every world I created, every idea I chased, was another step back toward that child. Not away from him, back to him. Because maybe the creator was never someone I became. Maybe the creator was who I was before I learned to doubt myself. Maybe that's what creation really is. Not becoming someone new. Not inventing a new identity. Not turning yourself into someone you're not. Maybe creation is remembrance. Maybe it's the process of uncovering the parts of yourself that were there all along. The dreams, the questions, the curiosity, the imagination, the things that refused to leave you alone, the things that kept returning. So let me ask you something. Who are you when nobody is watching? Who are you when nobody is telling you who to be? What keeps returning to you? What dream refuses to leave you alone? And what if the life you've been searching for isn't waiting somewhere in the future? What if it's been trying to find its way back to you this entire time? Welcome to SHEMO KING, the game of life.